Hi everyone, this is Ellen Francisco. Welcome to my channel. I want to talk about the tarot spread that I pulled for the full moon in Taurus on October 31st and the energies surrounding that time period going forward. So the first card that I pulled is the Ten of Pentacles. And I find that interesting because I just did my reading on just the energetic update, and this card exemplifies what I was talking about as far as self-care, understanding who your support systems are. Are you taking on too much on your own without the proper supports? Absolutely. Feeling like you are alone against the world is not a great state to be in. So to be careful with how much you are shouldering on your own. If there are people out there that are willing to help and that are willing to come in and step in and help you do things, then those are the people for sure you want to be talking to during this moon cycle. Queen of Pentacles is also here, crossing our first card. She is speaking about self-care in her own way as well, just in being down to earth and being simple and understanding what your true needs are, understanding that there's value in taking good care of yourself, that's an investment that you make into your own future, and those are dividends that often come back in spades. So, or in this case, in pentacles. So your health is your wealth. That is no joke. And at the base of this whole reading, which I'm doing the Celtic Cross in case you're wondering, it's the Strength card. And having to delve into our deepest internal strengths during this period is an understatement. We have been forced to, in every tangible way, readdress and realign our strengths and shore up our weaknesses, being able to meet your own insecurities and your own self-esteem issues and decide that you will be your best friend and your own hero during this phase is a really good place to be in as well. Five of Swords reversed. This is a warning card as far as I'm concerned, because it does warn against picking your fights. You know, not everything has to be a fight. You don't have to get overzealous about everything. It's not all a war against the world. You know, you can just take a deep breath and humbly get along. It doesn't have to be all knives and swords during this period, but there is a lot of aggravation and there's a lot of you know, surface discourse in a lot of people too who haven't processed whatever they haven't processed. So I mean, there is a lot on the surface with people too. You don't have to go too deep to find where their core is, because the core is kind of being lived in the wound of the here and now, and it's all being illuminated by this beautiful moon as it is. So all the slowdowns, all the setbacks, all the hold off and let's wait and hurry up and wait and do nothing but wait, this period does definitely seem to be ending as far as well, the retrograde planets are going direct for one, which is helpful. But it's all this backward momentum that we've had into our past, into our shadow, into our emotional duresses and wounds that haven't been healed. And this has all been coming out into the light and into the light more and more and more as we progress through all these months. So you may be willing to look at things in a way that you haven't been willing to in the past. You may see things that you have missed for so long because you were too busy doing other things that are no longer a distraction for you. So suddenly you have this time to look at things. There could be all kinds of ways that this kind of energy is hitting you, but the point is you're being illuminated. So see what parts of you are being lit up to look at. Emperor as well is still to me government and rules and regulations and all the structures of the authority figures in our own lives, even if it's not directly related to government. It could just be a mother-father relationship, or son, child, whatever it is. So debating on, it's not as much trust this time as it is just readjusting what you can expect from these people and these sources, and the sense of definitely having to go with the flow, but also to understand that there's still a lot of regulation that's going to be around us for a bit, and more so than is comfortable, I guess, right? Like, I don't think the US-Canadian border is going to be opening this month. King of Pentacles also has to do with listening. We had Queen of Pentacles in the prior spread, and they were side by side. So this sense of knowing when to act, knowing how to plan, knowing how to strategize, having goals, being more able to work with them during this phase. So things are lightening up as far as how much you can actually get done as well. Concern over finances, I think, is going to be obviously on people's minds during this coming month. We've also got King of Swords in a reverse position. So the sense of having power and not being able to use it, having expertise and not being able to share it, having ideas and not being able to get them to the marketplace. It just seems like a stopgap, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, and hurry up and wait some more. This is a good time, though, to work succinctly with your own mind mapping a little bit. Once we get past the moon energy, it's going to be a little more conducive to being able to use your free will a little bit more in ways that you want to. So that'll be good. All systems go, let's hope, as we come into all of this. So Nine of Cups is a great card because it often will show that you are really looking for all of that happy ever after energy. You really do want a stable location to live in. You really do want people around you who love you and who you love, and you're willing to do the work to get there. So whatever work you had to undo to allow these steps to get into the next phase of your life, this is where we're going to be. It's like starting on the journey, I guess, in a lot of ways, and being able to define in an emotional sense how it needs to come together for you. You know what I mean? Like, you've laid bare a lot of your emotional resources lately, so you've had a really good close look at what's working and what isn't. So if you've taken the time to weed out what isn't, then you're a little more clear on what is and where you're going, and that's going to be with a little more joy in your heart and a little more openness in your soul as far as willing to allow that to come into fruition. You'll have a little more energy to devote to new relationships too, I feel, too, if that's an interest in yours, as far as starting something new. And then at the end of this is King of Cups, which I like. This guy was showing up a lot in the just as COVID was hitting, and we were all inside. So he came up month after month, and here he is. I haven't seen him in probably 3 months or so, and yet here he is. So we are, heart is a really big part of early November as well, being able to live in our peaceful heart and our loving heart and our open heart and our believing heart and our faithful heart, and all of those places, parts of you that need emotional nourishing and elixirs from the gods, you know, to help fill in all these gaps of emptiness that you've kind of suffered through this whole period. And it'll be good to just kind of allow yourself to be reborn a little bit during this new phase too. I feel like the new moon that's coming up in November is just going to be just gorgeous and freeing in a lot of ways, and just it's going to be easier to surrender to things because you're going to feel better about them for the most part, right? Instead of feeling like you're working up against everything all the time, you'll actually feel like you can dig in a little bit. You're feeling a little more embodied during this period too, because you're willing to face some of your resistances and your negativities, you know, enough to kind of liberate yourself from them. So you are working towards an emotional mastery of sorts, and a lot of people are naked in the woods when it comes to their emotional realities and their vulnerabilities, and it's not really where you want to go. But spirit's always going to be moving you more towards your heart. It's the center of everything. It's the true mind of the body. So you really can't escape learning how to use your heart in productive ways and healing and soothing ways for, you know, the people that you bump up against with emotionally. So you have a lot of power. um, you have a huge ability to be able to really feel like you are living your full embodied self during this period. Even if you can't sustain it, you're going to get a little glimpse of it. You can get a little bit of a shock, like, oh my gosh, is that how that works? Is that my, you know, is that the breadth of my, you know, all-encompassing heart? So I would celebrate whatever you can during this phase. It's really a good time to pamper yourself and just, you know, relish in life's delectables and things that you do have that are easily within grasp. And you know what I mean? Enjoy your moments for the moments. They're beautiful strings of these experiences that make up the fullness of life. And yeah, I think we're not taking as much for granted generally. So it's kind of sweet to see people just, you know, knuckle in and knuckle down and get some really good um, self-love, basically. You know, the affinity to self is wonderful. So yeah, continue growing emotionally. It's really the most liberating force is our emotional body and our heart. And as much as we can get out of our minds a lot, it's that we need to get into our bodies and live that way, you know, moment to moment, instead of checking out all the time. So I will leave you with that, and be the best you. And your spirit does want you to be your exalted self in this life, which is why we come up against so many obstacles and challenges and things like that. They're meant to trip us up and help us catapult into wider ranges of ourselves and more enlightened versions of ourselves and more trusting, faithful versions. So keep the faith, and may the force be with you. And enjoy the full moon. Try not to take it too seriously if you're getting bogged down by the emotional stuff. You know what I mean? You may definitely want to, you know, bathe. And if you have a hard time processing your own emotional stuff, at least allow the time for, like, don't overwhelm your schedule basically during this time period. Just keep it as simple as possible, and don't over exaggerate your need to help everybody and solve everybody else's problems. This is much more an internal love myself, surrender, and set myself free time period than it is I'm going to go heal everything there is to heal in everybody else. And, you know, just understand there are better times to do things like that. And this isn't the couple of weeks to do that. Okay, so pace yourself and enjoy the light of the moon. And we'll see you soon. All right. Thanks. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like. I wouldn't mind that at all. Thanks so much. See you next time.